I'm sitting here in Shanghai. I want to say Shanghai, but I want to say Shanghai because Shanghai is how it's pronounced in Chinese. I'm sitting here in Shanghai and I've got about 24 hours left here. It's been good overall. I think back to the beginning of the month and it seems like a pretty long time ago. Which makes me feel good too, because if a month is long and it was a good experience, you're not wasting your life probably. But I'm sitting here wondering if I've become a better traveler since I left the United States on January 24th of this year. I've been in Philippines, Taiwan, and mainland China. And I will go to Malaysia next to be in Kota Kinabalu, and there's some wonderful bird songs here. And there probably will be in Malaysia as well. One thing that's important with traveling like this is you gotta let go. You gotta detach from people. Sometimes people don't want to detach from you, and sometimes you really don't want to detach from people either. But if you're on a really individual path, especially if you've just learned to plan a lot better through your own individual journey, as I have, not everyone can come along. In fact, nobody can come along except for me. And I think maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I had some stubborn attitude of like, you can't go with me and my work of truth only works for me, not you. But I didn't really have a plan, so I was just sort of frustrated, but I would hang around and act like I was meant to go somewhere else but didn't go somewhere else. But now I am habitually going somewhere else, and so far it has been really great. And I do seem to get to a big time appreciation of a city right before I leave, and I have a good feeling about it, and I can look into the past and feel good. I think even for the most part about Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Chicago, I feel good about those places too. Milwaukee's my hometown. I just have absolutely no idea if I want to be financially independent. Pay my own rent. You know, what is the definition of that? Pay my own rent, pay my own way with some kind of income that I make. Live alone, or be able to live alone, even if I live with somebody else. I don't know when I'll be able to do that anywhere in the United States for a long time, even if I wanted to. And sometimes I miss little things about the United States. But then I think the answer is to keep moving here in Asia, go outside and have new experiences. Next is Malaysia. I am very much looking forward to Kota Kinabalu. Kota Kinabalu. Kota Kinabalu. Kota Kinabalu. Kota Kinabalu, I think it is. Starting to learn the orthography of Bahasa Malaysia and trying to get a feel for what's going to be available on the ground in Malaysia to actually buy things to eat. And there's these little mom and pop shops. I just learned the word for it, but I already forgot. It's like, I forgot. It's going to be important for me to know though. Because supposedly these things are all over the place, like sari shops are in the Philippines, and learning that kind of system will be very helpful to basic survival. And basic survival is kind of what we're passionate about. We're not really desirous for huge, far out, recreational, expensive experiences. We can't afford them and we don't want to, because we can see pretty easily how a big expensive experience, especially if it's something that's like popular and a lot of people have done it. You could like take that apart and spread it across time into paying more affordable rent in amazing places on earth that maybe a lot of people haven't been to, at least. Yeah, especially coming from the place where I'm coming from. These are places that nobody talks about, nobody thinks about, nobody even dreams about, nobody knows they're there. But looking at images of, like photographs of Sabah, which is the province or state of Malaysia where Kota Kinabalu is in, on the island of Borneo, is fantastically beautiful. The wilderness of Borneo is like a big, lush, green, huge island. You know, it's like if you count Australia as a continent and not an island, and you don't count the big continents as islands either. The biggest islands on Earth are Greenland, then New Guinea, and then Borneo, which is mostly Indonesia, and then maybe 25% or so Malaysia, and then Brunei is like 1% of it. And Brunei is not too far from Sabah, which is where Kota Kinabalu is. Yeah, and on the map, like I'm looking in the aerial map on Google Maps for this area I'll be staying, and there's not a lot of signs of restaurants. There's a lot of hardware stores and tire stores and things like that. So these mom and pop stores that are going to have like at least snacks or basic foods, they're not on the map. They're either not there or they're just not mapped. So we'll have to see about that. And the area that I'm set to stay in is like a pretty big compound, I want to call it, of like apartments for, like dorm apartments for the university there, it seems. It's a pretty long drive and therefore a really long walk from the actual city of Kota Kinabalu. But I'm not really going to a specific place in general. There should be extremely good Wi-Fi in the spot where I'm staying. And it will be seemingly very much a wilderness setting. And I like the idea of going back and forth between urban and rural settings, big city and wilderness. And I'm in Shanghai right now, which has 26 million people, right? One of the biggest cities on earth. And I'm smack dab in the middle of it, and I have been for a month, other than going to Suzhou, which is also a big ass city. And, you know, on the continent of Eurasia. Now I'll be going to what still seems like a continent because Borneo is big. Actually, I looked up to see if Borneo was bigger than the land mass of all the Philippines. It's actually more than twice as big as the Philippines. If you put all the land mass above sea level of the Philippines together, it would fit inside Borneo more than twice. Borneo kind of reminds me of Taiwan in that it's like a big, lush, green island, but it's even bigger than Taiwan by a lot. Look at a map of East Asia and Southeast Asia. Borneo is lush, green, huge island, and it's equatorial, so most of it is in the northern hemisphere, but a lot of it is also in the southern hemisphere, so the equator runs right through it. I've never been that far south, ever. This will be the most far south I've been, and it looks to be about 90 degrees Fahrenheit there right now. It's extremely hot. not used to that. And there's supposedly no air conditioning in the place I'm staying, so we'll see how the hell I deal with this, because May is the hottest month in Malaysia. Malaysia. I didn't really even think about that before I booked it. I just thought Kota Kinabalu is an extremely beautiful place, and there's an affordable spot to stay for a month, and it's got Wi-Fi, and the host is the same name as me, so it's got to be a good guy, right? Any other irrational reasons for going to Kota Kinabalu? It's very nearly the Philippines, so it's right next to the Philippines, and Puerto Princesa on Palawan, which is one of the Philippine islands, is probably equidistant between Kota Kinabalu and Borneo, Malaysia, and Manila, Philippines. So it'll be the closest I've been to Manila in a while, though from Taiwan we know that even a nearby island can be extremely different, and once again it's a different country. Malaysia is more Muslim. Sabah has a good deal of Christianity. Also, something that's surprising is 22% of Malaysia is actually Chinese people. A lot of them speak Hakka, but the younger ones speak Mandarin. So maybe I'm not totally losing the ability to speak Mandarin as I've had in Shanghai and Taipei. Maybe it will still be useful to me to speak some Mandarin in Malaysia. We'll see. I don't know. It might be so hot that I can't even think. But since it's really hot there, I'm going to enjoy this overcast, rainy day in Shanghai, China, while it's still here. Overall, this has been a really great time. Really great to finally return to China after 13 years. And I shall return if the circumstances are right for it. I still have more than 9 years of a visa for this wonderful country. This wonderful country that is now building up its military a lot and synchronizing its military with the rest of the civilian population, and the government and the military and the people will go together into the future with an emboldened military to create the Chinese dream. And we'll see if that's a dream for anywhere else or if it's a nightmare. It makes me a little nervous. It makes me a lot nervous. However, China had a century of embarrassment, and now they're not going to be embarrassed anymore, and they're really going to take the world by storm. A lot of us know it. Some of us know it more than others. Let's just say that. But I've just got one more day here, then I'm going to go to Hong Kong for a very short time, a couple hours, and then Malaysia. Alright, so I'm still here in China. I'm watching videos of Borneo and getting really jazzed about that.
我深深看着你，却已相拥似长梦。
Primates. So I guess getting excited about going to see monkeys in Borneo made me more excited about being here in downtown Shanghai for a little bit more. Seeing the primate behavior here, dancing, the untold behaviors. All right, I got some mixed nuts and some Gouda. It's a very expensive kind of a meal for me here, but it's my last day in Shanghai. These aren't Chinese foods, but I think it would be great to eat some Gouda. That's the best cheese there is, I'm pretty sure. Original product of Nederlands. One thing I get to enjoy right now is I am the most used to this location and this city as I'm gonna get since it's my last day. It's not my first day. And the first day of being in a new city is the biggest culture shock. And it can be the biggest feeling of, I really don't know what's going on. And I hope I can just get to a place to sleep and eat something if I need to. But for right now, I've been in this spot in Shanghai for the better half of a month. And it's a nice little place, actually. 4 different people stay in this room. Right now, there's nobody else. I really like having curtains for some reason. Curtains do give me a real sense of privacy, sometimes more than walls do. For some reason that I'm not exactly sure why yet. But yeah, this is my last night in Shanghai, last night in China for a while. Seen a lot of things out this window. I have looked out here basically most days this month to Shanghai, this area in Jing'An. And I've seen basically the same thing, but I've probably seen myself looking at the same thing differently many times. Which maybe means I've learned something, but might mean I've just changed.